Hello YouTube, this is going to be a January 2019 Pendulum Magician deck profile. It's a pretty standard build except for a couple minor tweaks in the main and the extra. And I do have my side deck here, so I'll show that off too at the end. It's just what I took to locals this past time, and I actually didn't finish the tournament. I only went 1-1-1, one tie, one loss, one win, and I left. Got kind of bored, to be honest. But I am going to show off the deck, and this is the profile, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. Start off with 3 Master Cerberus, just the standard extender to go into Electromite. Pop this card, get Jackal King out there. So 2 Jackal Kings, 3 Master Cerberus. Master Cerberus can also be good for banishing your opponent's monster with 4 or more spell counters, and then it gains the ATK that that opponent's monster had, the original ATK, until the end of your opponent's turn. So you can get Master Cerberus up to some massive numbers, and Jackal King negates monster effects and destroys them. So that's pretty good. Mythical Beast package, pretty solid. Unfortunately, both of these cards are scale 4, so that can be kind of a brick sometimes if you draw multiple. So we got 3 Chronograph Sorcerers and 1 Time Gazer. Chronograph just pops itself to get Time Gazer from the deck. Just another way to get Electromite on the field without the normal summon. Chronograph also has a secondary effect where if a card on your field is destroyed, you can special Chronograph and another monster. So a great play is to summon Avian, get Avian on the field for free. Maybe use that negate before your Pendulum summon, so you get Avian back to your hand, and then you pen summon out Avian the same turn. So just so many Avians. Chronograph just has that extra effect. Also, it's a level 6. So next card would be triple Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm, and 2 Gate Zeros to go with that. This is the target for Foolish and Dragon Shrine, and Gate Zero is also a low scale, searchable, level 7. Just another way to get Electromite without your normal summon. And even if you use your normal summon, it's not the end of the world. You just won't have another normal summon at the end of the turn, which you can sometimes use to make another rank 4 or level 8 synchro. But those are the extenders right there in this pile that I just showed you to get Electromite without the, hopefully without the normal summon. So triple Wisdom Eye. Wisdom Eye is the great utility card for getting your scales. Double Wisdom Eye is just the best. You want to be getting whatever scales you want. Maybe Oath and Dragon Pit, or Purple Poison, Black Fang. All cards you could use. Also, it's a destruction in the scale zone, so it does trigger Electromite, and you get to draw 1 card. So we got triple Harmonizing Magician, which is the 2-in-1 Magician. You pendulum summon it from the hand and special 1 Magician from the deck. So go-to magicians that I special summon are Oath Dragon, if I'm going into Norito, or Shanky, or Xianke, however you want to say it, and Dragon Pit, which are the go-to for the Absolute and Vortex plays. So Harmonizing is great. Just remember, you can't special Harmonizing from the extra deck, so you always want to be adding it back to your hand with Electromite if you can, or with Oath Dragon too, for that matter. Here's Oath Dragon. Oath Dragon is a level 6, going to Norito. It's a plus when it's summoned and in the scale zone, so just great card. Solid at 2. The next magicians I have are all at 1. So we got 1 Purple Poison, 1 Black Fang, 1 Dragon Pit, and 1. Actually, the correct pronunciation of this card, just for people who are wondering, is Xianke. Xianke is the Chinese pronunciation. Just clarifying. But to go back to Yu-Gi-Oh, these are the go-to low scales right here and the high scales right here. Pops back row, level 7s, level 4s, and dark for your rank 4s. Pops a face-up card when it's popped. Just a lot of utility effects here, just useful for certain situations. Depending on what the situation is, you search whatever card with Pendulum Call. Any of these cards can be useful. Negates light effects here. So just solid cards right here. Only 1 Purple Poison and 1 Black Fang though, because I did want to make room for some hand traps. I know the standard lineup is 2 Black Fang, 2 Purple Poison. So next is Mist Valley Apex Avian, which is an Omni negate except for summons. It's a level 7, so you can make Absolute with it if you really want to. I would normally keep Avian on the field because it's a negate already. You don't need to go into Vortex, which is just another negate. So one clarification here with Mist Valley Apex Avian. It says in the card text, if I should read it, it says once per chain, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can target one Mist Valley card you control, return that target to the hand, and if you do negate the activation, destroy the card. So I should just clarify, it is not a hard once per chain. And do correct me if I'm wrong, and leave your thoughts in the comments, please. But this is just my thoughts here. If you have 3 Apex Avians on the field, it says once per chain. So let's say chain link 1, your opponent activates something. You activate this, bounce, and your opponent activates something in response to that, chain link 3. Can you chain link 4, return this to your hand? The answer is yes. Even though it says once per chain, what you're not doing is this, okay? These are different Mist Valley Apex Avians, so it is not a hard once per chain. If you were doing this, then you couldn't do it. Chain link 1, your opponent activates something. Chain link 2, activate this, return this to the hand, okay? Then your opponent activates something. Chain link 4, return this to the hand using this card again. Can't do that. Can't do that. But because you have multiple Apex Avians on the field, it doesn't say Apex Avian in quotes, so you can return itself, return itself, return itself, all in the same chain, same turn, totally legal. Please, interesting ruling there, so please leave your thoughts if you wish to join in on the conversation. Anyway, double Ash and 1 Veiler. Ash is just the best hand trap, I think. It's just really, really solid card. Stops Desires, stops Pen Call in this deck, but just stops so many things like Duality, Demise. Veiler is, I would say, I prefer it over Ogre. I like, instead of hitting one card at the end of your opponent's, or like in the middle to end of your opponent's play, like they go into a link monster using like 4 materials or 3 materials, then you ogre that link monster. Instead of that, they already have so many cards in their grave and so many cards that they may have searched from those specials and normals. If you can just hit one of those cards in the beginning of the play with Veiler and stop the play from there, I feel like that's better. Just my opinion. Could have included Ogre, but kind of prefer Veiler. Anyway, spells, 3 Desires, pretty standard right there. 2 Pen Call instead of 3 Pen Call, but these are just the search cards and the plus cards, so this will always get you a plus. Pendulum Call gets you your scales, your indestructible scales for that matter, because of its effect. One thing with Pendulum Call, if you activate Pendulum Call, you probably are going to want to discard Wisdom Eye, unless you want to use it for, you want to Pendulum Summon it out, but discard Wisdom Eye, or just be sure not to search Wisdom Eye, because you can't use Wisdom Eye's effect after you use Pen Call, because your Magician cards cannot be destroyed in the Pendulum Scales, so in the Pendulum Zones. So this is a little bit of iffiness with Wisdom Eye, so just be careful about that. That can land you in some bad situations. Then the last spells are Double Dragon Shrine and a Foolish Burial. These are just the cards that you use to send Dark Worm to the grave, and Foolish can send anything to the grave, so depending on the matchup, you might, you never know when this Foolish Burial can come in handy, as opposed to Dragon Shrine, which can only send Dark Worm. So just a little distinction there. So that's the main deck. Extra deck is pretty solid, pretty standard too. Made that mistake twice now. Pretty standard. Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, just the standard Pendulum themed link monster, and the other one that has to do with pendulums is Zephyr Metaltron. Points all down, which is great. Zephyr's effects can sometimes come into play. I mean, add 1 monster from your grave or face a pendulum from the extra deck to your hand. If a monster is special summoned from the extra deck, this card points to is destroyed. That can sometimes come into play, and you can banish this card and another card your opponent controls, or extra deck summoned card. I mean, it's decent, but its arrows are really the most important part. And Electromite, I think I've mentioned a few times in this video already, but it's just a really, really good card. Makes sense that it's limited to 1. 1 Lanphorincus, I don't know. Either one. Just the standard Link 2, down, left, down, right. We Witches, same thing, but this can go into Borreload, this cannot. Nightmare Phoenix, which I have in here, instead of Boral Sword, don't have a Boral Sword, but Nightmare Phoenix is just the gets rid of your floodgates, your opponent's floodgates, like Imperial Order or Rivalry or Anti-Spell. And you can use this to make Absolute too if you don't want to necessarily go into Zephyr Metaltron. If you have Electromite here in the extra zone, you have Phoenix down here, put your Vortex right here where Phoenix points to. I mean, you can make that play instead of going into Zephyr if you don't necessarily want to make Zephyr. And finally, a Borload, which is the standard card to just put in pretty much so many extra decks right now. Borload is just great for stealing your opponent's monster if you don't want to run it over. So for the Synchros, Ignis for Prominence, non-destruction, non-targeting, Supreme King Dragon Clear Wing, Lightning Vortex on summon, and Dawn Dragster, which is a level 7 spell and trap negate that you can use 3 times, and then after that use it for absolute material. I got Tornado Dragon for the back row decks, Dark Rebellion for high ATK, like super high ATK, and then Dweller for those graveyard reliant decks like Goki, Drew Draco. What else will hurt from this? Thunder will hurt from Abyss Dweller. So then we got Norito, which is your level or rank 6 spell and trap negate, and then Absolute and Vortex. These two go together. Descent to the Grave, special Vortex for free. So that's the extra deck. Pretty solid, normal, usual, typical lineup. Then for the side deck, which I used this past locals that I went to, tell me what you think. I just thought I'd put a few more hand traps in to give myself some variation. So we got the Psy-Frame Driver and the Triple Gamma. These are just another hand trap that I can include. I mean, it gets around Call by the Grave. It gets you, I mean, if you do happen to use it on your turn, you can use them for link material before they're banished, but that sometimes happens, I don't know. Gamma's just pretty solid because it negates and destroys, but unfortunately, if you draw a second Gamma after you use the first one, the driver is already banished, so you can't use the Gamma because I'm pretty sure it's necessary. You can special summon both this card from your hand and one driver, so yeah, you can't use a second Gamma, but still solid card. Then we got Triple Red Reboot for Altergeist and True Draco, but Altergeist, it stops that their evenlies and their manifestation and what else? Protocol, spoofing. I mean, spoofing if you really want a Red Reboot, they're spoofing. I mean, yeah, that can stop their multi-faker from coming out. So yeah, Red Reboot, solid. Call by the Grave just stops your opponent's hand traps, and sometimes you want to banish your opponent's monster, but pretty much stops your opponent's hand traps. Then 3 sphere modes for those times where you need to tribute for cost for something that can't be negated. You got sphere mode for that. And then lastly, 2 mind control to make your link monsters. And that is the deck profile. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a comment and like if you want, but comment would be great because I just want to include people and include myself and just make a bigger conversation about Yu-Gi-Oh! Great game. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much. Bye.